In this next training, we're going over how to scale your bots and your trading account. When we look at this, we need to know, okay, cool. Now that we know our bots are set up, how do we scale it? Whether we're adding money or our money continues to grow year over year, how do we adjust with that new capital? First off, you need to know your numbers. This is the most important part of scaling is knowing the numbers. So step one, we need to know how much money can you trade with in your account. Answer, you already know this if you went to any of our training so far, but it's the available account balance you have to trade with times your risk tolerance level, where risk tolerance is anywhere from 30 to 50%. If you're less risky, use 30% of your account. More risky, use 50. Moderate, use 40. Okay. So let's say you have a $100,000 account. All of it is in cash. So AKA it's all can be traded with. So we have a $100,000. Let's say we're moderate risk, 40%. That means we can trade with $40,000 of that money. So now we know how much we can actually trade with. The next thing we need to know is what is our ideal bot allocation so we know how to allocate within different zones. Okay, so question, how much should be in each different bot type? We have the daily income bot, the bullish bot, the bearish bot, things like that. If you watched the training before, you know how this works. 80% goes to long term, 20% goes to short term. So we have a $100,000 account. Let's say we can trade with the whole $100,000 just for easy number. That means that we can use 80,000 for long-term bots and $20,000 for short-term bots. Again, this is assuming we can use the whole $100,000. So what does the process look like to scale? It looks like this. We can scale by either scaling trades or scaling bots. Now, the direction in which we do this should look like this. We should scale trades first, then we should scale bots. Always be as simple as possible. Use as few bots as possible because then you don't have to worry about tweaking and monitoring and watching 10,000 bots. Instead, you can only work on improving 3 bots and actually tweaking them to make sure that you get them perfect. You scale them up until they can't be scaled anymore. Then you start adding bots. That's why our options bot portfolio system is only 3 bots to start off with: your daily income bot, your bullish bot, your bearish bot. Super simple, super straightforward. You start with that, you tweak it, you scale that, and then you start to scale bots. So we start off, number one is by increasing the frequency at which the bot enters. Number two, we then increase contract size. Number three, we increase the number of bots after that. Then number four, we diversify bots. So let's look into this more step by step, okay? How do we scale our options bot portfolio system? Number one, we increase the frequency of a bot. So let's say, okay, we have a bot, it's doing well. Maybe we paper traded it. Maybe we only traded it with one contract. We have more money to allocate to it based on the allocation amount we just talked about. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to first increase the frequency. This means we're going to go from entering once a week to twice a week to 3 times a week. The max we're going to increase our frequency to is 3 times a week. Now, why is this? In my opinion, and based on my experience, I've found that it is better to increase size by increasing the amount a bot enters. Why? Because when we increase contract size, what we're doing is we're actually increasing the amount of risk we're taking at a particular strike price at a particular expiration date. Now, if instead of doing 2 at one time, we split them up for twice a week. Let's say Tuesday and Thursday. Then guess what? We're spreading our risk across different strike prices and potentially even different expiration dates if that happens. So now we're spanning our risk or diversifying our risk across time and across different strike prices. Now, we stop at 3 times a week. So, okay, this once a week would be something like once a week on Wednesday. Twice a week would be like Tuesday and Thursday. And 3 times would be like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Now, we stop there because we can't really do it every day. Because if we did, then we would start overlapping strike prices and things would get confusing, especially with our long-term trades, when those trades stay open for a month. If we have on 3 trades a week or more than three trades a week, then we would definitely be overlapping all those strike prices. So we stop at 3 times a week for the frequency. So the first way we scale a bot is to increase frequency. Number two, we increase contract size. After we've increased it 3 times a week, then we go from 1 contract to 2 contracts up until our allocation limit, which means that this bot is allowed to use $40,000. Then we can keep on scaling the contract size up until we hit that allocation limit. Okay. So first we scale by frequency, then we scale by contract size. Next, after that means we fully exploited a certain bot, which means that we have increased the frequency, we've increased the contracts, and we can't trade anymore with that bot. Now, a single bot can take you up to $100,000, $200,000 easily. So you can still go very far with one single bot. So there's no need to be like, oh, I'm at $10,000. I need to add 50,000 more bots. No, you can take one bot easily up to 100 grand and not worry about increasing from there. So most of you will just stay in this limit. You're going to add money to your account. You're going to increase efficiency and increase contract size, or you're going to make more money. Now you have more available funds. You're going to increase frequency or increase contract size. And then once you start getting to big boy numbers, like 200, 500, $1 million account size, then you'll move it to these other two steps, which is increase bots. So again, we start off with the daily income bot, the bullish bot, and the bearish bot. This one can easily be scaled up to $10,000 a day. This one can be scaled up to 100 grand each. So if you're with under those levels, if your daily income bot is not up to 10,000 yet, and your bullish bot's not up to $100,000 yet, there really isn't a need to increase your bonds too much. Sure, you can go play with things, but I'm talking about your main money maker source. You don't really have to do much more with. Once you are ready to scale, whether you are prematurely scaling or not, this is the order which I like it. I'll then layer on the free money bots. Those are small, those are simple, those are easy. And then again, outside of that, we can add the sideways bot. And then from there, you can add any more bots that you want. But obviously, starting off with our three main bots is the way to roll it from there. And then we have the free money bots, the sideways bots that get layered on top of it based on account size. Once we've increased our bots, aka once we have all these bots, and now we're running out of funds, we have more funds than we know what to do with, then we'll start to diversify bots. And this really just means our bullish bot. Our bullish bot is going to be our main income maker, where we're going to have, number one, a lot of risk and a lot of money coming in from. Since those two things are important to us, we're going to diversify that bullish bot. We can go to something like gold, we can go to something like crude oil, bonds, whatever it is we want to do, something like that. Different asset sources, ideally bonds, ideally metals, are going to work very well because those aren't necessarily correlated to the overall market. So again, these are all market bots. These are what we call commodity bots. And again, they'll be diversified with the market. So first off, we increase frequency, increase contract size, then we increase bots, then we diversify bots once we increase bots enough. Here's an example, okay? Let's say we have a starting bot or a starting balance of $100,000 in the account. Allocation is $40,000. That means that 32,000 will go to long-term bots, 8,000 will go to our daily income bot. Now, let's say after a year of trading, we've gotten the account to $120,000. Not too bad. 20% return on your money. Not bad at all. Right? Now, new allocation becomes $48,000 to be traded with. Okay. That means 38 grand is going to go to our long-term bots and 10 grand to our daily income. This means we're going to cap out our daily income bot at 10,000. We're going to cap it there, which means all extra funds moving here forward will then get deployed in the long-term bots. So basically, we have $8,000 more to allocate than we did last year. And so what do? We look at our winning bots. Can we increase the frequency? Are there any of these bots, these long-term bots that we can increase? Maybe we're doing once a week. Let's bump them up to twice a week. Maybe we're already running 3 times a week for the frequency. Cool. The next question is, okay, can we use this 8 grand to increase the contract size? Yeah, let's increase it from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 or something like that. Once we've increased the contract size up to what we can allow, then we'd be like, okay, cool, we have 8 grand. Maybe we should open up another bot. And then we can think about doing that, a free money bot or a sideways bot or something like that. But this is, that is the framework you follow. You have extra capital, whether you're adding funds to the account or you made money. What do? You increase frequency, increase contract size, increase bots, then you diversify bots. So that is that section. Please put in the chat any Q&A on that as well. Okay. Cool. David said, number 1, frequency. Number 2, contract size. Number 3, more bots. Number 4, diversify via bots. Underline. Correct. That is the process. That is how you scale. Every time you add funds, you make more money. You have more deployable funds to use. You look at your winning bots. Can I increase the frequency? Can I increase contracts? If not, if you've already scaled that up to what you think you can do, 50, 100 grand, whatever, then more bots, then add more diversified bots. And so that's the method that I follow when I look at, and when I had a chance to sit down and put it into kind of a framework, that's the 4 steps I would follow. Frequency, contract, bots, diversification. Dave says, how do we know what the limit is for a bot? Yeah, so it's really going to vary based on what you're doing. I tend to stop. This is, again, a personal preference. I know people have scaled way past this, but around 5 contracts per trade is where I like to see something capping out at, okay? And so that's why I say the daily income bot is going to cap out around 10,000, because once you exceed 5 contracts per trade, like in a single trade or doing more than 5 contracts at a time, then you're going to start running into volume issues. You can definitely make it work. It still can work. You'll just get worse feels. And with that, your performance may change once you're achieving 5 contracts. With a daily income bot that looks like 5 contracts you're buying at one time, 5 you're selling at one time, that's 5 contracts or about $10,000 account size. With the 112, again, that means you're doing a 5-5-10, right? So you can go all the way up to a 5-5-10 3 times a week and still be fine. So that allocation limit is a lot higher than what a 1 DTE or a 0 DTE might be. So again, 5 contracts per trade is your limit there. That's how it again varies based on what you're trading. So again, like a 111 or 112 would have a very high limit versus a 1 DTE would have a smaller limit of like 10,000. So once I get to 5 contracts with a specific bot, max frequency, and I get the max contract size is about 5. That's where I start to add more bots or diversify bots. Great question, Dave. So, any other final questions on scaling bots and scaling accounts?